Call to order the special meeting for City Council of the City of East Grand Forks, Friday, May 29th. It is now 5:01. City Clerk, please call roll.
Mayor Steve Gander.
Here.
Council President Mark Olsted.
Here.
Council Vice President Chad Grassel.
Here.
Council members Clarence Vetter.
Here.
Dale Helms.
Here.
Tim Riopel.
Here.
Tim Johnson. Mark Demers.
Present.
Does term quorum number 1, Mayoral Declaration of Amended Local Public Health Emergency.
Everybody able to hear me okay?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Who is bringing this one out? Did you want me to bring it out, Mr. President?
Yes.
All right. So, as you can see, we're going into a continuation of the declaration, and it is for the purpose of helping our local restaurants and other merchants to come into line with the most recent executive order, which will allow the sale of food and beverage outdoor restaurants. And we want to make sure that we are set up to allow the continuation of this local executive order emergency declaration so that they can continue and start serving as of Monday when the executive order allows for it. And if anyone has any questions, let me know.
Mr. President,
President,
I move.
And here to move, is that Clarence?
I'll second that.
I have a question, Mr. President.
Mr. Vetter.
Thank you. If we don't approve the emergency declaration, extend that, can we still approve the sidewalks and the other measures for the restaurants and bars?
A question for Mr. Galstead, I guess.
This was addressed or asked of me. Can you hear me?
Yep. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, there's a couple of different ways that are going about it throughout the state. The state, they're doing it one of two ways. They're doing it by the way we're doing it here with the local emergency. It is possible to do it, Mr. Vetter, with a resolution. When I first drafted this, for whatever reason, I assumed, and incorrectly, it was pointed out to me by Mr. Demers, that the local emergency was still in place. So I revised it as such. I know Mr. Riopel provided information regarding the city of Rochester doing it under their local mayoral declaration. A number of other cities have done it the same way. However, it is possible to do it with a similar resolution, depending upon the depth of that resolution, giving Mr. Murphy and City Clerk Nelson the ability to do it in a similar fashion. The way our ordinance is set up right now and the way our process that we've followed is that these matters would be provided, applications would be provided to the city administrator's office through Megan, and then those recommendations would come back to city council. The reason I did it this way is it was under the emergency, and we could it was less burdensome, so to speak, in light of the fact that we were doing it under a short time frame. I did provide as well. Information today came out regarding, I'm not sure who that is. Came out today regarding MnDOT and a MnDOT permit for Demers Avenue. Right now, nothing truly is available on MnDOT right away. It looks like an executive order is supposed to be signed Sunday or Monday to allow a permitting process that goes through the city. I have submitted to everybody, the city, a proposed resolution with the proposed temporary dining permit. Mr. Emery just provided maps that would get attached to that. So I know I'm being a little bit long, but there would need, if we were going to do anything for the businesses that are going to use MnDOT right away, we should probably handle that tonight as well. Whether we're going to declare an emergency and do it, or try to revise or have a resolution stated on the record would be another matter.
Thank you. I'm concerned that I think the emergency is over with. I want to do as much as we can for our bars and restaurants, so I'm going to go along with it tonight. But I think we as a council need to look at our emergency declaration and see if we need to end that and start moving forward and getting things going again. So for tonight, I'll vote for that. But tonight, I'll vote for it, but hopefully in the near future, the next week or two, we can get something in front of council where we can vote on whether we're going to continue our emergency declaration or not. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Clarence.
Anybody else have anything right now?
Mr. President, this is Mark Demers.
Yes, sir. Mr. Demers.
Thank you. I'm thinking on the same line as Mr. Vetter. I guess, and maybe if there is a consensus that we'll bring this back at the next regular city council meeting for an up-down vote, or at least, and maybe even to a work session next week on what the benefits are of the emergency declaration, and what the path forward would be. I guess I would be willing to be flexible enough to do this, but outside of that, I guess I am concerned about the extension of the declaration as well.
Anybody else have anything at this time?
Mr. President, Dale Helms.
Yes, sir.
Are they going to require building permits for these places that are doing this? I see one place is already doing some sidewalk stuff there and adding on to their building kind of type of thing. And I'm just wondering if that was officially approved, or are they just doing that?
Mr. President, I can answer that. I'm not sure if Nancy's on here. She can update if there's been anything happening today or not. No, there has not been a permit on that, and yes, there would be one that would be required. We are addressing that through our normal process.
Okay, because I see what they're doing. I would think we'd want to look at that to make sure it's safe and going to work okay.
Nancy,
Yes,
you're on.
yeah,
I am on. And no, they have not applied for it. And yes, we're in discussion about them getting a permit for that because, we like it when people check with us first and get a permit before they start a project. So we are working on it.
But, yeah,
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to make sure because it's the way it's going up pretty quickly. And I just, we also got to be safe and smart about this.
And as you're aware, this isn't an overly uncommon situation where things are put up without a permit and we find out about it. And so, yeah, we're working doing our normal process for that.
May I, just for conversation, first of all, thank you all for, though a little bit reluctantly going along with this, I'm thankful that that's the direction that we're going. Mr. Helms, along the line of safety, for one of these parklets that there's been some discussion of. Just so you know, the conversation we've had through the week now is we're not even going to try to broach that because it is a matter of public safety. This idea of putting seating either into a parking area or a driving lane, that's going to be no rush on that. Nobody's going to get anything temporarily in the parking on a city street or in a driving lane on the city street as far as any conversation. If that were to happen, that would happen over the next weeks and months through a normal process of discussion. Nothing trying to slam that in because it is a public safety issue. You have motor vehicles coming through that area, and we have to just keep our people safe. So we're in no rush to do that. That will be a very methodical, very well thought out process, not trying to make it happen in any quick time frame because of the public safety concern.
Mayor Gander, I think he's referring to someone putting a canopy on their building.
I absolutely get it. Yep, I absolutely get that. And Nancy talked about safety, but it was a perfect opportunity also to talk about, please open your mind as we think about these little parklets that could pop up. Mr. Gallstead, our city attorney, said if it were me, for example, you might consider like a concrete planter on each end to catch any traffic that might come. So this whole process, I want the council involved as much as possible to do it right, to do it safely.
Thank you. That's good, because I'm glad that you brought that up, because I'd hate to see this thing just turn into a free-for-all out there for all these.
Not going to happen.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we have the declaration done. We don't need to take a vote on that, do we? I don't think we do. Or do we need to vote on the declaration? We just need to vote on the resolution that's next, correct?
The resolution ratifies the declaration.
Okay. So I'll move on to number 2. Consider adopting resolution number 20-05-35, assisting in the accommodation for businesses to open under the governor's executive order while they follow guidelines and ratifying the mayor's amended local emergency.
Move.
Second.
Vetter.
Better and Repo second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Demers, or Mr. President, this is Mr. Demers.
Mr. Demers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Wondering, does this put any hard sunset provisions into when these additions or extensions or parklets or whatever would be viable? I guess at what point do they need to go away? Is it whenever the declared local emergency goes away, or I guess again, like I said, I'm reluctantly allowing this because it's the only way the governor is allowing us to do business. But I don't want to have parklets all over the city, and we know that once this momentum gets going, there's a very real likelihood that it's not going to come back, and people are just going to accept it as the new normal, and that's how it's going to be. We saw that even with the emergency declaration, we just kind of, once it got in place, nobody even really cared to notice when it was done. It just kind of steamrolled on. So my fear is that we start this process, we get these things in, and then we can't, it becomes either, whether as a policy board or whatever, we decide we're not going to remove these things, is my fear. Are these done as soon as the local emergency is declared?
Mr. Demers, make sure that you're on the same page, you're on the same language. The parklets aren't in this thing. Parklets are not what was sent out. So, I mean, we removed that from the original discussion. And this has to do with the sidewalks and public areas.
And I would say both are important to me. I don't want necessarily that public space to become privatized.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that on the same page.
Right, I agree. Then maybe it's not the pergolas. I'm just lumping this all in as a.
Nope.
I see this coming. I guess 'cause that's
Nope.
what's going to be the new norm.
The mayor and I have had the same discussions. So,
If I may,
Mr. Gulstead,
this is a temporary issue. It would, in the application or the approval process, it would be similar to the either when the governor's emergency is no longer in place, or as MnDOT indicated, I believe there's a November date, November 1st, I believe, that it would end. And any of the divides, the tables, chairs, etc., would be required to be removed at that time. This is only an issue or a temporary fix for the temporary outdoor dining due to the COVID. And it'll be specifically spelled out in the application that we are putting forth. We don't have any, we haven't issued any permits at this point. And that brings me to another matter, would be again, the potential MnDOT resolution and right-of-way permit for on demers. Right now, without that, we are only looking at city right-of-way, city sidewalks, city public parking lots that are not on state highways, meaning Demers Avenue, and at this point, 4th. So right now, without addressing the MnDOT resolution, up north really has, other than their own parking lot, couldn't put seating on their sidewalks on Monday.
thank you, Mr. Gulstead. Anybody else have anything? See none. A roll call, please.
Demers,
Yes.
Better,
Yes.
Helms,
Yes.
Riepel,
Yes.
Olsted,
Yes.
Grassel.
Yes. Motion is carried. Mr. Gulstead, I know you sent out that resolution for the DOT. Was that supposed to be amended into the agenda tonight?
Well, that just all of that information was just provided to me, and I didn't get it until about 3 o'clock today, 2 or 3 o'clock.
Right. Yeah, I understand that.
Yep. And so since we are at a special meeting that's dealing with specifically these items, I believe it would be appropriate to be able to act upon it if in fact this council deemed it appropriate. The resolution that was provided was basically a template that was given to us by MnDOT, essentially saying that we should use that template. The only thing that we had to do was insert the specific city or township. The next thing that they did was they are requiring us to utilize their permit. I did submit a permit that would have been, that would be attached to the resolution. And then just late, and I'm not sure it came out in time for anybody to see it, Mr. Emery had his office provide us with the required maps that show the boundary of the city of East Grand Forks, as well as the area that would potentially be utilized for MnDOT right-of-way. And if you look at the map it essentially would be both sides of 4th from the intersection of Demers going south, and then potentially the Demers Avenue right-of-way sidewalks up until the bridge. And that would be the areas that could be utilized and which would encompass Spud Junior and Up North Pizza to be able to help them in this time. So I would ask that we would ask that you consider it. If not, we could always set it on a later date.
Mr. President, this is Mark Demers.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ron, I appreciate the work done on this, and we're all kind of running, chasing or someone else's tail on this one. One of the things in this, I'm just quickly going through the permit, and maybe it isn't pertinent, but it says upon the expiration or earlier termination, the municipality's sole cost and expense, or at the municipality's sole cost and expense, the municipality will remove or cause to be removed all outdoor dining components from the trunk highway area and restore trunk highway. That's not saying that we can't recoup that if we have to. We have to actually compel the people to do it. And is it basically just trying to make sure that MnDOT isn't doing it?
Yes, what this is MnDOT's not issuing any permits to businesses individually. What they're doing is they're issuing a permit to the city, and then the city is able to issue a temporary outdoor dining permit on the right-of-way to the individual businesses. And what they're just saying is that if there's any cost to removing whatever is in that right-of-way, the city would be the responsible party, not MnDOT. But from our standpoint, it would be the individual business that would be required to remove any of the tables, etc. So we're not allowing anything permanent to be placed in there, so there really shouldn't be any real expense. They just want to make sure that their right-of-ways are cleared in November or after the expiration of the executive order.
Thank you. And that's kind of what I'm getting out of it. Also, there's a maintenance component to this where it says any and all maintenance of the trunk hire area shall be provided by the municipality at the municipality's cost and expense. Does that compel us in the entire area to do that, or only where we have we have permitted structures or permitted places?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Okay, sorry. I thought I clicked it, but that would basically mean that MnDOT is wanting that the maintenance would be the cleaning and the removal of anything in the permitted areas. It's just a temporary matter. We wouldn't be on the hook for maintaining the entire highway area for other than temporary outdoor seating. So in this case, it would only be the designated area where we would have either Up North, Spud Junior, or if one of the other establishments along there, such as, I'll just say TNT Outfitters, or one of them wanted to utilize the sidewalk for something other than dining, we would still use this same type of permit for that.
Thank you. I'll make the motion to approve the temporary outdoor dining permit.
I'll second that resolution.
I'll second.
froze.
I wonder if Mark is frozen.
Looks like it.
It looks like he is.
Oh, cut his cord.
Okay, so it's like, Chad, then you get to take over.
So, Mark, can you join us? So
All
we
right,
have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Megan, will you call roll, please?
Demers,
Yes.
Vetter,
Yes.
Helms,
Yes.
Riepel,
Yes.
Olsted, well, Grassel,
Yes.
Sorry, Chad, that was supposed
Looks
to be
like the
you.
motion passed.
Take it from here.
That's okay. Not a problem. I think it is all we have on up for tonight, right? There's nothing else to go over?
yeah,
I believe that
Last-
completes the agenda.
You had a motion to
All right, ask for a motion to adjourn.
move.
Second.
Riepel, second by Demers. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion
Thank you,
carried.
gentlemen. Have a good
Chad.
Have
Yeah.
a good
Everybody.
weekend.
Yep, you too.
It's Chad's
With
fault.
audio turning off this meeting.